Greetings, everyone. In this video, we're looking at what is likely to happen once every ZEP holder has moved to mainstream visa, as government is facilitating that. In the last video, we did say that Cabinet, through the Minister of Home Affairs, has powers to document any person. And in the last video, we cited the issue of ZEP and Lesotho special permits. Just before the 2024 elections, about 3,000 people of Mozambican origin who reside in Mpumalanga province were granted documents under special circumstances. So, Cabinet has that power or right to document any person who is in South Africa under special circumstances. So, if the minister and cabinet, they are satisfied that it is in the best interest of South Africa to grant or to document such person a document, they will do so. Right. Now, what then happens after everyone has moved from the Zimbabwe exemption permit to general work visa and the other mainstream visas? It simply means, one, when the general work visa and other mainstream visas expire, it is no longer going to be a collective effort to negotiate for their renewal. It will now be based on an individual, because it is no longer, you are no longer treated as a group, as is the case now, but you are treated like any other person. Now, the danger is that, or the difficulty that people will encounter, which of course people will not want to talk about it now, but after 4 or 5 years, is that when you then renew, you have been granted a general work visa. When you then want to renew, the requirements are no longer being waived for you to continue in South Africa. You will now need, as a holder of a general work visa, who need to renew the general work visa to meet the requirements. South Africa is saying that if a migrant or a foreigner comes to South Africa, say on a 5-year visa, the expectation is that within the 5 years, you should have groomed a South African who would take over the job that you are doing. An example again. You are a mathematics teacher, granted a visa to teach in South Africa, and it's a 5-year visa. It is not automatic that after 5 years you are going to be granted a permanent residence. It is expected that within a 5-year period, you will have groomed a South African to take over your job. And after 5 years, you can return to your country of origin. That is what South Africa is currently doing. You will know that there are people who applied for critical skills visa some 3, 4, 5 years ago. But their critical skill at the time when they applied, their professions were under critical skills list. Upon renewal, because the critical skills list changes almost every year, it gets updated. When they now apply to renew, their profession is no longer listed under critical skills list. What does this then mean? It means the person is rejected on the basis that while you were issued with a critical skills visa, at the time you applied, indeed your profession was listed as critical in South Africa. But we have addressed this issue. It is no longer critical. Then there is no basis for us to renew your critical skills visa. You get rejected. Many have been rejected on those bases. So now, if you are a holder of Zimbabwe exemption permit, you have applied for a general working visa, which you have been granted, because the minister will waive almost all the requirements, which makes you not to qualify, right? After 4 years or 5 years, you then apply to renew your general working visa. It is then that all the requirements are pointed at you, which you must fulfill, failure to which your application is going to be rejected. Because we are now, everyone is now on mainstream visa. So you cannot reject a critical skills visa for a person who's now told that your skill is no longer critical in South Africa or considered critical. We do not renew it for you. And then expect someone who's not a professional to have their visa renewed on the basis that they once had a special permit. It's not going to work in that way. So by granting a general working visa and mainstream visas, there is some catch at the end that eventually holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits they are going to be phased out upon acquiring general work visas, then fail to renew them. So what should have happened, which cabinet again has powers to do, because cabinet knows that the people that are holders of ZEP, the majority of them are people of low skill, are professionals whose skill or whose profession are not under critical skills. And they are aware that such individuals, the majority of them, will not qualify to move to other visas. They should then have said, a holder of a Zimbabwe exemption permit, which cabinet has the powers again to do, should be granted a permanent residence visa or permanent residence permit, so that you do not have to keep on renewing after every 4 or 5 years. Because even if you have a critical skills visa or you have a general working visa, it is not automatic that when it is about to expire, you will apply and be granted a permanent residence permit. It is not. So we thought it's important to highlight this. As I conclude, Cabinet has power without a waiver, without asking people to apply for waivers, to say holders of the Zimbabwe exemption permits apply for permanent residence. They have the power to do so, right? If Cabinet take a decision, Parliament supports that through the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, holders of Zimbabwe exemption permit can simply be granted permanent residence. But because in terms of, based on the statement or notice that was issued by then Minister of Home Affairs on the 31st of December 2021, which was circulated in mainstream newspapers, part of the reason of discontinuing with the ZEP was the condition of South Africa themselves, unemployment, poverty, as cited in his statement. Hence the decision not to renew. It was part of the decision not to renew. Now, if you then get granted a general working visa, it does not necessarily mean that you are now safe. It means after 4 or 5 years upon being granted the general working visa, you will now have to, by the time you go to renew, you should meet the requirements. In other words, you should have qualifications. Your company must demonstrate that there's no South African who can do the job. Otherwise, you will be granted a general working visa, you will celebrate. Then after 4 or 5 years, your application is rejected. Once it is rejected, you will be expected to go back to Zimbabwe. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you have questions, please write in the comment section. Otherwise, have a good day. Goodbye.